Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on how to move forward in life after you have had a disagreement or a breakup with somebody who you are attached to, who you are in love with, someone who you love and who's not appreciating you back. How do you move on gracefully? How do you get through this without becoming a pile of slobbering mess? Yes, you do need to sometimes have a huge emotional release and cry it out, but I think that's a great topic for people to really look at today and zoom in and focus on how to really let go or go no contact or move through a relationship which has been toxic, which could be with someone who is highly controlling, highly manipulative. They've gotten you good. They've gotten the best of you. You might have known this person for several years or several decades, but how do you move through a relationship and let it go and really go no contact with someone who has broken your heart or who has left you high and dry, or you might have exposed them. You might find out that they're going with somebody else, that they're cheating on you, they've betrayed you, or things just did not work out as they had basically led you to believe. They had led you along a path and you found that it was not in your best interest. They were not really truly there for you. And so it's very difficult oftentimes to move forward and move on. People get stuck in this phase. They get stuck wondering why me? There's something inherently wrong with me. They've been fed a lot of lies from this individual, or they just haven't been fed the right support. You're not getting what you need for the relationship. So oftentimes people stay in relationships that are not in their best interest, but they're so devoted, they're so committed, they feel sort of erroneous self-limiting beliefs, so they put up with a lot of abuse, a lot of neglect, a lot of questionable conversations, a lot of questionable dates, a lot of questionable events or periods of time where they have mistreated them. They've, been very hurtful. They can be also very lack of support, be very unsupportive. Lack of support can also, in some relationships, be very covert, because it's not what they say, it's not what they say, it's not what they do, it's what they don't do. So people oftentimes get stuck in this middle ground. Important things to realize is don't take it personally. Stop blaming yourself for the whole of the relationship. Stop blaming yourself for your involvement or your lack of involvement. Stop beating yourself up. Stop faulting yourself. Oftentimes, this is a huge problem and a huge indicator of people who stay with others who are abusive for way too long. They're taking it personally. They feel that there's something specifically about them as a unique individual that is warranting this mistreatment. So they draw then conclusions, well, there must be something wrong with me. I must be a terrible person. I must have an anger problem. I must have an emotional problem. I must have a behavioral problem. Everyone tends to put all arrows on them, and so they feel that they deserve the abuse, or furthermore, even worse, they feel that they don't deserve better. So they don't really look at solutions, ways of either bridging it with this person or bridging their life to move on with somebody else or independently on their own. They don't see that there actually should be a better direction, a better path where they actually belong. They have trouble. Their devotion and commitment oftentimes can cloud their mind. Depression can cloud the mind. Anxiety can cloud the mind. It makes it very difficult to think clearly, especially if you're in the fight or flight mode where you're overwhelmed. It's difficult to put one foot in front of the other and sort of make some space for yourself and think through it, or to find others who can listen unconditionally and who can give you honest and objective feedback, who can say, you know what, this is not right for you. You need to move on. Or, you know what, maybe there's something about you that you might want to change. Let's try that. So oftentimes there's a lack of unconditional positive self-regard in the individual who's going through this. So they are then, plagued with low self-esteem, low energy. They're not able to think logically, coherently anymore. They're too emotionally involved. And they tend to then fault themselves. So stop taking it so personally. Stop feeling that, you're, deep inside, because these are oftentimes unconscious thoughts. So it's these unconscious self-limiting beliefs which are keeping you stuck in the relationship for way too long. There can be, a lack of appreciation where this person is not supportive of you, your beliefs, your values, who you want to become, where you want to go personally in the relationship, for your business. They're not supportive. They don't see eye to eye. They might be, too self-absorbed. It has to be an out of balance relationship where they don't want to support you. It has to be constantly about them. And then, everything is out of balance and out of whack. It becomes very difficult then to regain that balance once it's been lost. So begin to get perspective and begin to see and really embrace yourself and, move through it and begin to love yourself. And oftentimes this is a state which is very foreign to a lot of people. They're very ashamed to feel positively or positive self-regard. They're so used to having the negative reflected to them. They're so used to feeling low. They're so used to coping and then feeling low once again, going through that cycle. So one important thing you can do to really move through this is to stop taking things so personally. Stop faulting yourself and just realize that this was meant to be. If this person was meant to be in your life and things were able to go along a little bit more smoothly, they would. Oftentimes, this is meant to be a relationship that you learn from. So it's okay if things don't work out. Begin to open up the doors to realize that when one door closes, another opens. And this can be true for you also, that the end of relationship can be okay. You do have what it takes to be whole, independent, and to get into a relationship moving forward. However, you need to acknowledge and validate this and learn how to have new self-respect, positive self-regard, and yes, to love yourself. That foreign, oftentimes questionable state of appreciating and acknowledging and having value for yourself. How can you love somebody else, or if you're not in a state of being able to love yourself? You need to be able to have this enough, your cup full enough, so that you can be an energetic match, someone who can respect you in that state. If you're becoming so down and out, you're becoming an energetic match to someone who's going to treat you at that level. So, and then people are wondering why, if they try to then find a relationship right away, why they keep attracting the same person except in a different set of shoes. In other words, someone who's an energetic match to their low self-esteem. So you need to create boundaries and standards and begin to raise your standards for yourself, particularly as you relate to yourself. You need to develop a very solid relationship with yourself. Even if you've never experienced this before, you need to do this. You need, doing the recovery journal, which a viewer said, I call this discovery journal. And I think that's a great term for it. Doing your discovery journal. Beginning to journal your feelings first thing in the morning, whatever it is, for 3 pages. If you can't do 3, then strive at least for 2. Longhand, just let it all spill out. Whatever it is that comes to your mind, just begin to write. I want to have a business. I want to live in a big house. I want to live in my car. I want to live in the forest. I want to move. I want to have a garden. I want to have a engine repair business. I want to go into body making. I want to become an engineer. I want to become an IT scientist. Whatever it is, let it spill over into the page. Get to know yourself. There's a lot more to you than meets the eye. There's a lot more to you than meets the eye of this individual. But you're never going to get to know your expansive self until you say, it's time for me to get to know my expansive self. And let the doors open. Let the magic happen. Let the show begin. Let your life begin. Oftentimes, it's so much fear of the unknown and fear of being unloved that keeps people stuck. So oftentimes, you need to know that oftentimes it's the fear of learning something new or learning to know what it is to love yourself, what this experience is. And I would say it's time to get yourself into this phase of life before too long, because this is unequivocally an experience you need to have on this earth plane, which is how to appreciate and respect and love yourself. Yes, giving yourself attention, giving yourself time, giving yourself eye contact, not just meaning staring in the mirror, but being able to be and reflect with yourself in the present moment to where you are right now at this crossroads of your life, getting to know how you feel and appreciating yourself, getting to know what your true dreams are and how you have been clouded from acknowledging and validating and how you want to feel, be, and behave your true I am in the present. How can you ever get to know it when you're constantly bonking yourself on the head with how stupid you are, how unlovable you are, how terrible this relationship was, how rotten and unjust. You're just staying an energetic match to the negative. Yes, you need to go through legitimate suffering, M. Scott Peck. You need to let out the feelings of grief, of sorrow, of loss. You need to have some real long, hard cries, men included. You need to get it out of your system. This sucks. This was brutal. This was the worst. Never again. You need to have these sort of, primal moments, because the limbic brain is the primal. It's the energy in motion. It's the seat of oftentimes what you do in your day, in your life, is in the subconscious, the limbic brain. The body is the unconscious mind. So if you're feeling down and out, you're not happy, you're not feeling that life holds anything good in store for you, or any magic, any surprises, any spontaneous sort of, wow, cool, it's not having those good, ups anymore. Oftentimes it's because you need to be able to embrace and love yourself. How do I do this? Write something positive about yourself every day for the next 30 days. Write something positive about yourself once a day for the next 30 days. You can do this in your discovery journal or your appointment book. I call it your appointment book, where basically you're making appointments, you're making sure that you show up for your recovery dates, you're doing your astralmations, your I am, you're doing your mindfulness as with regards to all of your senses, include, and I call this resensitizing or rehabilitating yourself after being through a very traumatic or torturous relationship. And yes, abusive relationships can be torturous. It can be absolutely, unbearable, very emotionally draining. So you need to fill up your emotional cup with joy once again and happiness. And you need to find this by identifying with the positive in yourself. People who are manipulative, they will unequivocally not reflect back to your positive qualities. Unequivocally, they will not allow these to grow and bloom. Unequivocally, they will snip you at the root to make sure that you don't experience the positive of yourself. That's just what they do. They keep you separated from your best life. They keep you separated from your best self. They don't reflect back because it's too threatening for them. And stop blaming yourself. It just did not work. Begin to say, this happens. Sometimes things don't work out in life. This is part of life. It doesn't make you less than to experience relationship issues. This is part of the fabric of life. This is part of what life is about. Welcome to Earth. Welcome to Earth 101, 105, 106, and 112. This is just what your course and your lessons learned. Life is a lesson, it's a journey, and it's, you continue to learn throughout your life. So this might be a big or difficult lesson. Perhaps it's a lesson that you've been trying to not you sign up for. I don't want to learn this. I don't want to take this course. This might be too difficult for me. So right away, you're saying that you don't have what it takes. You're blaming yourself. You're taking it personally. You don't think you have what it takes. If these are your self-limiting beliefs, get them out, air them out, and begin to sort of get through this by understanding that you might have these questions about yourself. And you can only know it and really make sure you get through it gracefully is by understanding the good qualities of yourself. It can be something as easy as, I make great, pancakes. I'm very affectionate. I'm very positive. I have a good sense of humor. I am a great listener. I give time to people who I care about. I care about the environment. I care about animals. Whatever quality it is about yourself, write one quality a day. Write one quality a day. And if you have more than one a day, then go for it. But make sure you do it. And then through the end, after the course of that month, you'll say, you know what? I really do have a lot of redeeming qualities, and I know this to be the case. You've got that knowing center. And this will then bring you the confidence that you need to make the right decisions. We had a viewer ask a great question. It is, after this relationship, they feel so defeated that they just are like paralyzed. They don't have the confidence. So do some things to boost up your confidence, such as writing one positive thing about yourself a day. And you'll begin to reveal the truth is you're not that bad. You're not that shabby after all. If there's some things that you need to change, then this goes under your lessons learned. In the book that I'm writing, I find it very important that when you're moving through these relationships that have been traumatic, trauma-inducing, it's very important that you begin a section for your discovery notebook that is your lessons learned. And this is an ongoing section. You might start it out with 20 lessons. You might start it out with 5. But there should be an ongoing area that you fill in your discovery journal. We're going to go from recovery to discovery. I think that's an awesome idea. So thank you for your comments and your suggestions. And so, the lessons learned, I need to be more patient with myself. I need to be more patient with others. I need to be able to spend time alone. I need to be able to be more in a group. I need to treat people for lunch. I need to allow people to treat me for lunch. Whatever your lessons learned are, they can pop up in your head right away. And some of you might be realizing them right now. So when they come, being able to grab that notebook right away and having it at your side, be able to keep this with you close at hand and visit it often. This is going to help you discover and develop a heart-to-heart connection with yourself. You need to come back into your heart when it comes through, when you're trying to move through relationships with people where it can be very difficult to let them go. Realize that it's okay and safe to let these people go. It's okay for them to move on. It's okay to see them with other people. It's okay to see yourself with other people. It's okay for them to be alone, and it's okay for you to be alone. Let them go in love and light, wishing them the best, in your heart. Even if you don't need to speak it to them, speak it in your heart. Your heart speaks volumes. Your heart, in fact, I feel it speaks more volumes to you oftentimes than you can speak out loud. So let it resonate within your heart, where you can be upfront and honest with the secrets that you've been hiding from yourself. Oftentimes you have to air your own dirty secrets in order to move on. I shouldn't be such a demanding person. I shouldn't be so codependent, and begin to say, am I trying to fix them? Are they, and this is the other thing I was considering, because really when people are in codependent relationships or relationships where they've stayed with an abuser, and I feel this is so crucial. and I think a lot of you are going to resonate with this epiphany and discovery as well, is that when people have been in relationships with people who have been abusive, neglectful, hurtful, people who have taken advantage of them, who have been condescending, critical, triangulated them, scapegoated them particularly, people who have been the object of targeting, of scapegoating. You know what I'm talking about when someone is constantly taking out their problems on you. They never take responsibility and say, I'm sorry, make adjustments or changes. It's always something wrong about you. Oftentimes, people are so used to being not appreciated that they love others more than they love themselves. Codependents love others more than they love themselves. They care to take care of others more than they care to take care of themselves. They care more about being there for others than being there for themselves. And it's really important that you turn that around. That you're there for yourself more than you're there for others. That you care about taking care of yourself more than you care about taking care of others. It's important that you fix yourself more than you care about fixing others. The problem with codependency is that then people begin to have this external locus of control, meaning that others' happiness dictates how happy they are, how they then, it's their happiness, and then their influence on others is more important than their influence that they have on themselves. And so this can become very problematic, and things can go out of control when you realize that you cannot live your life this way. It is very destructive and very damaging to love others more than you love yourself, to always care about trying to impress others, take care of others, make an impact on others. When you do this unequivocally, you're allowing an external locus of control to govern your life. Meaning, if all of a sudden your self-esteem is tied to this thing externally to you, what happens if that goes down? What happens if that no longer exists? What happens if this person moves? What happens if the business fails? What happens if this, if your family moves? What happens if, what happens if? It's too iffy. If you have an external locus of control for your self-esteem, you're going to find that then your self-esteem is going to be a roller coaster and life is going to become unnecessarily difficult. So begin to take stock of the positive. Begin to take stock of your own heart. Begin to listen to your own heart. Begin to take the commitment and give it to yourself. Begin to move through it and begin to shake it off. If you've been with somebody who you've had to cling too tightly to, begin to wiggle a little bit of room so you can break free of the bonds that control and confine and limit. No longer give energy to the bonds that control and limit you. Begin to let go of the self-limiting beliefs that hurt and block you. Begin to be able to look yourself in the mirror. Oftentimes, a lot of people, oh my God, they're so afraid to look in the mirror. They're so afraid to be by themselves. They're so afraid of, their emotions, lack of trust. So it's important that you do this, and so you can navigate your day. You can get yourself together. You can begin to become more productive. Begin to not only have your to-do list, but your to-be list. So a lot of people, I need to get milk, I need to get bread, I need to get eggs. They've got this whole big list in, priorities all over the place. My business needs to be here. My income needs to be here. My trips need to be here. They have all these different to-do lists. I highly recommend, especially in the book that I'm writing, is have your to-be list. Have your to-be list and look at it often. Be happy. Be at peace. Be joyful. Be benevolent. Be kind. Be gracious. Be. How about just be? Oftentimes, it's this very, very important state people don't give a chance to experience because they're so used to overcompensating, overdoing, over-obligating, focused on so many different things that are just stressing them out. Stress is no good. Stress is a disease. It really creates disease as well. So begin to say it's okay for me to just be. Look at your addictions also to move through relationships. Are you in like a relationship addiction? Sex addiction? Are you compulsive about this relationship? Are you compulsive? Are you obsessive? You need to deal with this within yourself and to say, you know what? Maybe being so obsessive and compulsive ain't all it's cracked up to be. Maybe I'm going to let go of that tendency and I'm just going to allow myself to be. What if, I don't have to control and obsess and compulse? What happens if I don't drink? What happens if I don't drug? Maybe that would be the relief I am looking for. See, these are the secrets that you hide from yourself when you're always focused on somebody else and you're putting basically all of your happiness in somebody else. If somebody else makes you happy, if that occurs, then you're going to be setting yourself up for failure and unhappiness. Happiness is an inside job. It's an inside requirement. You better show up, for that responsibility. Show up for yourself. Happiness is an inside job. Abraham Lincoln, I keep saying this, men are about, meaning men, the whole of people, like mankind, people are about as happy as they make their minds up to be. And William James, as a man thinketh. As a man thinketh, so becometh. Let's get those old English TH, up back into vocabulary. As a man thinketh, so he becometh. Survivaleth, survival, whatever. We can have a laugh about it. But if you need to laugh and have some humor, you need to take yourself a little bit more lightly. You need to, stop taking everything so seriously. Begin to let go and have a little bit of humor about yourself, about life. Laugh at yourself. OMG, I can't believe I put myself through all this. That is cray-cray. That is silly. That was brutal. Begin to release some of these barriers and the self-limiting belief that have been keeping you too small, too confined, and too stuck. I think you'll see that you'll realize that you have a lot more going for you than you're giving yourself really the credit for. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out.